A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to StudyIQ English. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis with me for 13th March 2026. See, once again, we realize how quickly time flies by. We are already in mid March, and just yesterday we were wishing each other a happy new year. So that's the power of time. And with that in mind, let's speed up our preparation. Let's be very, very focused and dedicated with almost now about 2 months to go for the Prelims 2026. And here's wishing you all the best for the same. And a quick reminder about the QR code of the Telegram channel. Those who are still navigating how to find the channel can actually download the code from here and become a part of our ever growing community. Then, which articles do we need to discuss from today's newspaper, the Hindu edition? We have 6 articles today. Although they are 6 in number, but there are multiple articles that are combined within these because the top agenda happens to be the West Asian War and the ensuing energy crisis in countries including India. Are we actually heading in for an LPG LNG crisis? Are the prices of crude going to become so high that will buying petrol, diesel, kerosene actually be a challenge for India? What's the plan then? Are we really planning to diversify, like expediting the deal with Canada, going back to Russia, or then having to import from US itself now yesterday? Ever since the war has started, for the first time, one oil tanker from Saudi Arabia has reached India. It has gone through a lot of turmoil to take this long, lengthy route and finally reaching the Indian coast. So, what's the future of global energy security? What about Mr. Mujtaba Khamenei, the new supreme leader of Iran? He has made a very bold statement, by the way. He says that no matter what, Iran is not going to open Strait of Hormuz under American pressure. That means for now, there is no easing out on global energy security situation and we are in for some crisis. So let's see how we navigate through that crisis. Beginning from the first 2 articles from editorial page, that's page number 8. The first article is talking about weightless economy. Yesterday, Vikash was talking about orange economy. Here we are looking at an innovation based economy, an economy that derives its power from innovation, research, and ideas. That's the first article for the day. Let's break it down. Preparing India for a true innovation led economy. And before I do that, as a protocol, let me with utmost happiness welcome my dear aspirants in the class. Initiated from Akash, Terukula, Shakti, Kavish, Chetna, Madhav, Ashish, Sharlok, Pranarathi, Aman, Rajneshwar, Kritik, Bhavna, Kujumba is here, Madhav, Sitaram, Yuvraj, Shlok, Iba, Abhijit, and Sitaram, Bhumitesh, AB, Krishna, Satya, Vikash. Vikash is also here with us. Yuvraj is here. Shlok is here, of course. And who else? Anupam is here. Ramu has also joined. Reshma is here. Wow. Okay. All right. Then many more code names, of course. So very good morning, everyone. Lots of love and blessings from my side. Then let's start with the first article for the day. Yes, and that's a very valid observation made by Ashish. Now, I am in Bengaluru, and yesterday I myself have heard the news. Now, I don't know whether it's fake or not. It's just a conjecture that I'm sharing with you. It's not a formal piece of information. But I was also informed by some people that there is a black marketing and hoarding that's going on for LPG cylinders. Even at the commercial supply chain level, people are actually selling private cylinders at about 2,000 to 3,000 per cylinder. That's what I got to know from NCR area, from Bengaluru, from Mumbai. So the news is already circulating. Now, in the front page today, Indian Prime Minister Shri Modi has told people that there is nothing to worry about. He clearly said the panic is unnecessary and India has reserve. Nothing to worry. We will manage something. We are also negotiating a deal with Russia. But then I don't know, as you're saying, it's artificially created, it is true, or it's a rumor. But honestly, it was quite scary. I myself heard that 3,000 rupees per private cylinder is actually being sold now. So you see, this is the direct impact when a country is dependent for oil and gas and security import, when we do not have a solid import diversification strategy, then these are the problems that keep happening and rumors will take a toll on people. Now, in future, will it make us more energy secure? That's yet to be seen, but that was quite a shocking news, honestly. Okay. So let's see how true that is. We'll come to know. But the first article for the day is editorial article, and it is talking about how India wants to become a global leader. India wants to become the leader of the world when it comes to research, development, and innovation. That's R&D. Now, we are already the fourth largest economy in the world, but unfortunately, you cannot measure an economy only with the size of its GDP. You cannot measure an economy only with the size of its national income. You can't. Because it also matters that we take into account the GVA, gross value addition. Yesterday, I told you there is a very big difference between GDP and GVA. Talking about GDP, that's the total of all the value of the total goods and services produced in an economy within 1 year. But it shows you the total picture. It doesn't show you which sector has contributed what. And therefore comes in the picture GVA, gross value addition. This shows exactly which sector of the economy, including agriculture, including industry, including service, how much are these individually contributing in the national growth? And this is important because India may be the fourth largest economy in the world, but till date, the majority of contribution in the GDP is coming from informal sector. An informal sector does not lead to innovation. It will never lead to research and development. It only leads to providing employment to people, and the ugly side is social dumping. The people who are in the informal sector are barely workers. Moreover, they are the invisible ghost workers. They don't have a good salary. They don't have any social security. So this is an economy that is not created on demographic dividend. It's an economy that's created on the power of surplus labor force. And this is where we cannot presume that being the fourth largest economy will also make us the hub of innovation. It does not. And therefore, India is still very weak when it comes to actual innovation outcome, mainly because private companies are not interested in investing money in research and development. They are more interested in profit making. This is the pitch of this article. Now, this article is telling you that although the Indian government in last few years has understood the problem, Indian government does understand today that in order to become Atmanirbhar and Viksit Bharat by 2047, we must invest in our labor force. We must do some upskilling of labor force just by providing people informal work like Manrega, like VBGRAM, by increasing opportunities in Asha Anganwadi, very good Shakti, by increasing opportunities in auxiliary nurse midwife, or by giving people direct benefit transfer, like the one we saw in Assam yesterday, Urundoi scheme, or the one we saw in Bihar, Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. These are direct benefit transfers, or by giving women 33% reservation at the level of parliament. All these are superficial strategies. Just by giving money or just by giving numerical representation, you cannot expect empowerment to happen. Empowerment has only one solution: skill enhancement. When you give skill to people, and Indian government does understand that now. Indian government does know that. Jivika, correct. Today, Indian government understands that. From 2015 onwards, the government itself has been promoting skilling campaigns. Vishwakarma scheme, Drone Didi scheme, National Skill Development Council, the Skill India mission. All these are intended to give people skills, talent, capacity to work, and that's what leads to real empowerment. But the majority of skill we are giving is in the informal sector. Look at Vishwakarma. Look at National Education Policy 2020. All these are talking about vocational skills. In India, vocational skills are the skills we have inherited from generations. Long back, when villages used to be stratified on the basis of caste, Jajmani system was predominant. Every community had its own kind of specialization: kite making, boat making, ironsmith, goldsmith, jewelry smelting. There were various occupations, and today under Vishwakarma, the government is saying we must go back to those skills. We must allow in India textile sector, Ajirak, Bandhani, Kalamkari. India has a very rich profile when it comes to indigenous textile, cloth apparel making, art. We can encourage people in this sector, but unfortunately, again, it will lead to only informal sector growth. It will not give people productive jobs. And what are productive jobs? Productive jobs are those which give you a floor minimum salary, which give you social security like provident fund, maternity benefit, and pension. And skilled jobs are those which are white collar occupation. But Vishwakarma or national education policy may not be able to give us exactly that. Then what's the solution? Solution is to enhance a culture of R&D in India. Has the government done anything to do that? Yes, we have done. Example, the Indian government in the last few years has created a rupees 1 lakh 1 lakh crore R&D and innovation fund, that's known as RDI fund. RDI, Research Development and Innovation Fund. The government also allocated rupees 20,000 crore for deep tech startups in the union budget. A very big allocation for innovation and startup. Of course, Shakti, we have created the Shanti Bill to privatize and to liberalize the nuclear sector, to allow more innovation, more participation, and to enhance capacity for nuclear generation. Why? Because we need to achieve the target of 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047. Definitely, we are trying that. What about defense? Yes, in defense also we are trying for indigenization, Atmanirbharta. We are encouraging private companies and startups to come and help us in producing sophisticated defense equipment, of course. Then India has also invested in a laboratory known as ATL, Atal Tinkering Laboratories, to encourage innovation among students. If you talk about woman empowerment, there is a scheme called Kiran scheme. The Kiran scheme allows young, talented girls who have taken science stream to take up research in future, to do any kind of PhD program with foreign collaboration. Of course, then you talk about how the government is removing restrictions in deep tech startup sector. We are now having the Startup India mission, Skill India mission. Ultimately, the idea is to encourage more and more startups in India to come and take participation in AI development, in machine learning, language, large language and small language models, in defense, in the nuclear sector. Yes, all of that we are trying to do. But at the same time, still the problem is that India is not witnessing any growth in innovation. Now, have you seen the example of a startup from Bengaluru known as Sarvam AI? Sarvam AI. Now, Sarvam AI has been given a great help from the central government. The government will provide Sarvam AI with a very big access to GPU, graphic processing unit, because you need that if you want to make a large language model. And the government is now trying to provide that. Yes, Sarvam AI, which is now going to make India's first indigenous large language model that will be in indigenous languages, absolutely. So that's an example of how the government is promoting R&D, but there are structural problems here. What structural problem? Now, may I ask you a question? Last time Reshma and Ramu had confirmed us. May I ask it again? How much percentage of GDP is India spending on the healthcare sector? Bacha, can anybody tell me? I want to make an annotation here. What percentage of GDP are we spending on the healthcare sector even after the COVID pandemic experience? Can anybody enlighten me on that? What percentage of GDP is being spent on the healthcare? Yes. Yes, Terukula says 0.3%. Vikash says, Shlok says 0.26. 0.26, almost 0.3. Yes. So near about 0.26%. Okay, very good, Rajnishwar Sume. Near about 0.26% of GDP we are spending on the healthcare sector. Now, don't you think this is abysmally low? As compared to the global and South Asian average, Veda, Satya, Eric, yes, it's less than 1%. And is that not shocking? Because recently in the budget, the government is saying, let's focus on capex expenditure, capital expenditure. And what did I say that day? That day I told you, if India is spending such less money on the healthcare sector, what kind of capital investment are we talking about? Is investment in demographic dividend not a part of healthcare? Is it not? What a paradox. If that is healthcare, now look at R&D. We are trying to become innovation hub in the world. But Bachi, do you know how much is India spending as a percentage of GDP on R&D? It is 0.65%. Can you imagine? India is spending 0.65% on GDP in research and development. Can you compare it to countries like Japan, South Korea, Singapore? No. It's very less. These countries have touched 3%, 4%, 6%, and look at us. Only 0.65% on research and development. In most innovative countries, private companies are investing heavily in research. Now, somebody was asking me a question in one of my Hindu classes. I remember it was October last year, and I'm not sure who asked the question. I think it was Priyanshu or Aspirant. I don't think they are here now. Even Diptesh has asked. He is also not here right now. But I remember the question. The question was, ma'am, why do we always become the leader of generic medication? Why are we not able to produce patented drugs? Why do we wait for 20 years for a patent on a new drug or a new medicine to expire before Indian companies can make it and then sell it as a generic component? It was a very beautiful question. Was it Terukula? Okay, Terukula, was you who asked that? It was such a lovely question. You know, these questions just stay back in your mind. That's a beautiful question, Terukula. What was the answer? The answer was that the reason why Johnson and Johnson's, Bayer's Pharmaceutical, all these companies in Europe and US are leading innovation, all the latest medications. Like there is recent one that has come in the field of HIV AIDS. It is a new medication to treat HIV, which is known as capsid medication. Yesterday in science lecture I have spoken about it. What's the name of that new medication starting with L? It is a medicine that attacks the outer layer of HIV virus. The outer layer has an enzyme called capsid. The medicine attacks and kills the capsid and HIV virus becomes weak. This is called innovation. This is called innovation. And that's the reason why we do not have here. In India, the private companies are busy making profit. For them, what is important is corporate priorities. And therefore, they do not invest in research and innovative answers. Yes? What about US and Europe? Private companies are fighting with each other for the latest innovation. They have that structure of creating new ideas. In India, that's not there. I told you long back, ever since industrialization happened in India, the problem is that we are always utilizing excess labor force. Indian industrialization has not happened on the basis of advanced equipment. It has happened on the basis of surplus labor force. And that's why we do not do innovation. Very good, Reshma. We do not do innovation. We always think of profit making. And that's why we are a leader of generic drugs. We are not a leader of patented medication because nobody is there to do that experiment and innovation. Firstly, funding is not there. Then, bureaucratic hurdles are there. And third, there is excess labor force. So we believe in doing mass scale production. We don't believe in doing research and innovation. That's the problem. What's the name of that medicine initiated from Reshma? Lenacapavir. Lenacapavir. This is the latest medication. Very good. Now it will be used along with other drugs to cure HIV. Once in 6 months injection. A great breakthrough in the science of HIV treatment. How did it happen? Innovation. Who discovered that HIV virus has a cover called capsid? If you destroy that capsid, HIV gets destroyed. What is this all about? This is innovation. I hope you have an answer now. Why are we leader of generic medication? We can copy that formula. after 20 years. And then we can do mass production because we have labor force. We have land resources, natural resources, but we do not have innovation capacity. You see, this is why in India, most of the innovation done even today is done by government spending. Private companies are least bothered about spending in innovation, and that is about weak private sector participation. Now, Eric always talks about liberalization, privatization in nuclear domain. That's why we had to pass the Shanti Bill. Today, so many people are angry. They are saying Shanti Bill has replaced the Nuclear Civil Damages or Liability Act. That is not good. Public is unsafe. Now we have removed the clause 46 and section 17 of the Civil Nuclear Liabilities Act. That means people, in case they become victim of nuclear accident, they can't sue through legal criminal laws. At the same time, nuclear material suppliers are also now not getting liable. Is that not causing insecurity? Yes, it is. Definitely, it is a matter of risk. I agree. But at the same time, if we do not open sectors like nuclear, sectors like defense and space to private companies, then how will we become an innovation hub? That is also a problem, right? We have also discussed how the International Space Station is now expiring very soon. A company in US is now going to manufacture world's first international private space station. Yes, Reshma had told us about that company last month. The company which is going to make very good shlok, Haven 1, it is going to make the first private international space station for the first time. Why? Because we need privatization. Otherwise, how can you hope for innovation to happen? So what will India also do? Tell me. Already we are late when it comes to privatizing and liberalizing economy. I told you 2 days before. In India, we started LPG reforms in 1991. Narasimha Rao government. APEC countries, Asia Pacific economy started it in 1970s. Today we have no match with them. That's why we are lagging in innovation. So therefore, no matter how much you complain about lack of safety in nuclear domain, what choice does the government have rather than passing the Shanti Bill and privatizing nuclear space? Otherwise, this is what will happen. 0.65% of GDP only on research and development. It's very low. There is another problem, bache. Another problem is that India's global technology is still very small. In case a private company in India is able to do some innovation, it is only limited to our country. It is not able to get global patents. That's the problem. India is far behind in most of the countries when it comes to getting international patents. For example, countries like China, in 2024, China had filed 70,000 global patents. US 54,000. Japan 48,000. India only 4,547 global patents, and that is very, very low as compared to all these countries. Now, does anybody know which act in the world governs? Which act in the world governs global patent filing? This is an act coming from 1978. Please remember, everyone. In 1978, there was an act created known as Patent Cooperation Treaty. I'm writing it here. Patent Cooperation Treaty. This is coming from 1978. It is a treaty that is an international agreement which allows inventors, innovators to find patent protection in many countries with a single application. Otherwise, what happens? Otherwise, if an inventor, for example, in India, there is a business house, there is a startup that has done a major invention. Now he wants to file a global patent for that. He's the first person in the world to do this discovery, to do this innovation. What happens usually? You have to file patent in multiple countries. It's very difficult. It's very, very cumbersome. So now what happens? Rather than applying separately in every country, the PCT, Patent Cooperation Act, allows you to file only one international application. And this is valid in multiple countries. It saves your time, it saves your cost, it saves your effort. Yes, but let's remember one thing, that all this Patent Cooperation Treaty is administered by WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. This is the one that governs the Patent Cooperation Treaty. Although Ideally, you can only with one application file the patent in multiple countries, but still, it depends on the government of every country to actually decide whether they will give the patent or not. But still, if you look at India's condition, we are no match to China and US. China 70,000, US 50,000. Am I lagging? Is that the problem with everyone? What is Yuvraj saying? Can anybody confirm? Are you having a problem with audio video flow? Yes, Sharlok, Ramu, can everybody confirm, bache? Is everything going fine or is there a lagging in the video? Shlok, was I lagging? In between, now is it okay? Is it all smooth now? Can anybody confirm, is it all smooth now? Yes or no? There is a lag or there was a lag. Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Otherwise, I'll have to check the LAN connection. Everything is fine? Okay, I'm presuming it's fine. If there's anything, let me know. Thank you, everyone. No lag. Okay, great, great, great. So, despite the PCT, Patent Cooperation Treaty, look at India. Only 4,000 patents. Look at China, 70,000. US, 54,000 patents. So, what is the weak link here? Why are we so low? There is the shortage of skilled researchers and diversity problems. India also faces human capital problem. Oh, what an unfortunate thing to say. It hurts me when I say that. We are the biggest country in terms of demographic dividend, and still we are lagging behind in human capital. If you look at India's rank, India has rank 95 in knowledge intensive sectors across the world. India has 80th rank in the number of researchers in the world. India has 101 rank when it comes to employment of women in STEM sectors at the doctorate level. There is a lack of research workers. There is a lack of university dedicated departments that can conduct innovation. Plus, bureaucratic and government hurdles are always there. There is a very weak linkage between research from universities and companies. Hardly any private company is ready to come to college and university and finance the research, encourage the research. Even if research is good, it is not able to reach the market. Very little industry academia partnership. So, therefore, ideas are often ideas. They are always in laboratory. They don't reach the market. And how can we conclude by saying that the government is creating so many policies, but the result is very minimal? For India to become a leader of the world in global research and innovation, we must support startups in the AI segment, deep tech startups immediately. Immediately. We must commercialize research coming from universities, because problem is not policy. Problem is not funding also. Problem is execution. Problem is encouragement. Okay, so that's how we can summarize this article. Now a quick look at the question here. Okay. Very good. United Kingdom has established STEM colleges in India, and India also participates through schemes like Kiran scheme. Many women are getting encouragement, but that's not for everyone. Consider the following statements regarding research, development, and innovation in India. 1. India's expenditure on R&D is more than 1% of GDP, which is higher than most of the BRICS countries. Okay. Second, the Shanti Act of 25 allows patenting of inventions related to peaceful use of nuclear energy and radiation in India. I can see a split. I'm so happy already. 3. Patent Cooperation Treaty 1978. Applications are generally filed when investors seek international protection for commercially viable innovation. Oh, there is a major split. Shlok, there is a major split. Does that not make me happy? Well, the teacher is the happiest link in the class today. Too much split. Not because you are confused, because I enjoy extra thinking from the students. All right, all right. Let us see who initiated. I think Reshma initiated. And when we finally reach the question, Shlok, Vikash, Shakti, Rajnishwar, Anup initiated, followed by Suraj, Terukula, Jonah, Madhav, Reshma, Chip, Zenith, Shinobi, Krishna, AB, Amir, Veda, Yuvraj, Eric. Okay. Kritik, Satya. What's going on? Such a major split, no problem. Such a major split. Pothu, Sumed, no problem. Okay. Let's see then. Taithong says, let's skip the question altogether. Let's try to answer it altogether. Okay. Is the first statement correct? No, it's not correct. It's not correct, bache. It's not correct. What did I just discuss with you, my dear? I said that, bacha, India is spending 0.65% of GDP in research and development. What did I just say? Did I not say that, Akash? Did I not say that, Sharlok, Taithong, Satya? I did, right? Then how come we are presuming it's 1%? If it is 1%, then A is not correct. If A is not correct, then D and A cannot be the answer. Now, between B and C, what's the answer? Second one, the Shanti Act allows patenting inventions. It does. It does. Absolutely, it does. Why can't we remember something that Eric told us? He said that I still remember. I find this very intriguing, and also it's very sweet also. I mean, I do remember generally the names. Like, I've heard that teachers have an elephant's memory. In my case also, I'll remember who said what. Okay, so initially we were talking about the Shanti bill last year. After 15 minutes of discussion, I'm talking and I'm talking and I'm talking. I'm talking about so much nuclear facts, and suddenly in one statement, Eric makes me quiet. I'm speechless. He says, ultimately, it's about privatization, liberalization. And I'm thinking, why did I talk for 15 minutes? He has said it so well. So that statement has sticked on with me. Absolutely. That's the intention behind Shanti Act. It is privatization. So why are we calling private companies? Because the more you attract private companies and startups, the more solutions will come. In the case of nuclear sector, the more nuclear power plants will happen, small modular reactors will happen. Yes? So that is what it is. It is related to peaceful use. Correct only. Third, PCT. What does it allow? If somebody has done a great invention, right? Then rather than filing a patent separately in every country running from pillar to the post, they will do it at once under WIPO. They will file it under PCT. It will be accepted in multiple countries. So it is valid, making B the right answer. So very well tried, very well understood, and that's absolutely fine. You see, humor is and sarcasm, these are great tools of learning. Okay, great tools of learning. And especially, I believe in Article 19(1)(a), there is a complete freedom of speech and expression. So therefore, we must pull off such jokes, and until they are intellectual and until they are healthy, it's all fine. It helps us learn, because I always believe in one thing. Ever since I'm in this industry, one thing I have seen: the more you enjoy, laugh, and study, the more you remember. The more you take tension, stress, and the more you study with a mechanical attitude, the less you will retain down the years. So that's the spirit, and it's absolutely fine, Yuvraj. I really enjoy these interactions. Now nobody will forget. Okay. So then can we say that B is the right answer? Okay, okay. All right. Is that fine? We understood? Great. No problem. Let's proceed with the second article. Then I hope it's clear with everyone, but very well answered. Even those who initially said B is totally fine. You're thinking, though you said C, you said D, doesn't matter to me. If it's clear with you and you are ready to understand and work hard on it, I am happy. This right and wrong is just a very temporary thing, okay? All right. Let's now proceed. Economic survey promises impact of the new labor codes. Now, my bacha is already a perfect well-prepared class in that. Today, I can proudly say in front of everyone, whether it's Strait of Hormuz or whether it's any other strategic choke point, whether it's West Asian politics or whether it's Monroe Doctrine or whether it's the labor code, I'm calling you children, I'm sorry, but my children are very well prepared with that. I have full confidence. So this article is easy for you. This is GS paper 2. Social justice, informal sector in India. We are talking about the 4 labor codes. What are we looking at? Now, this article says India as the fourth largest economy and still a developing country which depends on informal sector, blue collar jobs, vulnerable unemployment, ghost employees as major contributors to the GDP, is in a situation where, although the government is expecting to increase jobs and productivity from the formal employment by passing these four labor codes. Now, let's understand initially, very good, Reshma, we had 29 labor laws. All these were very complicated and lengthy. So, in 2019, the Indian government took a decision, just like what Ramu says. These 29 labor codes were changed and they were codified in the form of four labor laws. And what are these four labor laws? How beautifully Ramu explains. Code on wages, social security code, then there is occupational health and work safety code. At the same time, we also have industrial relations code. All these are now promising a better life to Indian labor, much better life to labor who are working in informal sector, ghost employees, GIG workers, platform workers. Very good for reminding Vikash. And although India has done this because India is a founding country of the International Labour Organization in 1919, and India has promised that if ILO has 8 compulsory conventions, India has signed 6 out of them. Of course, India has not signed 2. And which are these 2? Now, Vikash has made sure all of us remember it by heart, and that's very good. 87 and 98. And what do they relate to? Labor union, trade union. Apart from that, everything has been taken care of in the form of these 4 labor codes. So, what does this article say? Article says, look at this paradox. Article says, look at this paradox, dear. We are passing 4 labor laws so that in our country there is labor security, there is work dignity. But unfortunately, these 4 labor laws have also increased contract based job and insecure and unstable informal employment. Why like that? Because the government is expecting too much from these 4 labor codes. The government believes that the new labor codes will improve the labor market. According to Economic Survey 25-26, the labor code should increase formal employment from 60.4% to 75.5%. Second, it will create additional 77 lakh jobs. 3. It will increase female labor force participation. And last, it will increase 1.25% of GDP, 1.25% of GDP to 2029 and 2030. We will add additional 1.25% growth to our GDP. Now, this is the expectation that the government has from these 4 labor codes. And Satya says, do you really feel? Absolutely, I don't feel. Sorry, absolutely, I don't feel. Why I don't feel? Not because I don't believe in these laws, because I know there is a culture gap. Making a law and implementing a law are 2 different things. So I don't believe in this because of the problem of lack of implementation. But this article and the writer of this article is saying the laws are faulty. Sorry, the laws themselves are faulty. Why are the laws faulty? Let's have a look. The logic is that easy labor law will encourage company to hire workers formally, but that's not true. Why is that not true? Unfortunately, because in India, if you look, Bache, 80% of workers in India are in the informal sector. Now, how embarrassing that is to even talk about. I mean, especially as a teacher of social justice sociology, I sometimes feel so disillusioned myself. I mean, I always try to create a solution based approach in students, but when they see data and reality, there is one message I get every time that, ma'am, there is so much injustice. No law is ever enough. Nothing will ever be fine. That pessimistic attitude comes, and I feel bad, but then what to do? Data points like that. Now, 80% of workers in India are in the informal sector. What kind of economic growth are we talking about? Then, informal workers, we know, do not receive any social security. Have you seen any informal sector worker, vendor, construction laborer, housemaid, taxi driver? Have you ever seen them getting pension? Have you ever seen them getting a provident fund benefit? Have you seen them getting insurance policy or maternity benefit or menstrual leave or paid medical leave? I haven't seen. They work 24/7, and what a paradox. Yes, Terukula, because they are ghost employees. There is no paper proof of their work. So government says you don't participate in tax, you don't give tax, you don't contribute to GDP. So no social security for you. But in reality, these are the ones who are contributing maximum to GDP. Only the fact they don't have a proof, no? They are ghost workers. Now, at the same time, what about contract work? Now, once we started liberalization, privatization, globalization, LPG, there is another ugly reality that came to Indian economy, and that's known as vendor system. What is vendor system? I told you there is a difference between informal work and unorganized work. What are informal sector? Informal sector is those that is outside the tax scheme of the government. Just what we spoke about. Vendor, construction, agriculture labor. Yesterday we were looking at women in agriculture. But there is a different unorganized sector. It's very difficult to locate unorganized sector. Informal is visible. If you and I start walking on the road, we will come to know who is informal worker, who is formal worker. But unorganized is very tough. Very good, Terukula. Unorganized is very tough. You can't find them. Very tough. Example, a worker working in a company like Amazon, Microsoft. He's working in Amazon and Microsoft. You will feel it is a formal sector work, but no. Within Microsoft on Amazon, what is he doing? He is the tea seller. He maintains the elevator. He maintains the bathroom hygiene. He cleans the floor. Now, will he get any benefit like a Microsoft or Amazon worker? Nothing. Will he have an HR department to support him? Nothing. Who is he? He is a victim of vendor system. The HR will hire only the formal white collar workers of Amazon and Microsoft. They will not hire these people. Then how are they hired? They are hired through a vendor. There is a vendor system. Now the vendor is the person who maintains a group of these contract laborers, like telecalling. The HR department will contact that vendor and say, can you provide me 15 security guards? Grey collar job. Can you provide me 20 cooks and can you provide me 10 people to take care of my lift and bathroom? He will say yes. Vendor will take the payment from Amazon and send these 60 people to Amazon. What are they doing? They are doing class 4 work. They are doing informal type of work, cleaning, maintaining, physical work. Who are these people? On paper, they are working in Amazon, but are they Amazon employees? No. No. They are vendor employees. Easy hire, easy fire. Today you hire them. Tomorrow one person is sick, fire them. Another person will come. If you are unhappy with that person, fire them also. If a lady is pregnant, fire her. What rights they have? Nothing. Nothing. They have no rights. They are taken from vendor system. Vendor will decide how much to pay them, not Amazon HR. Vendor will decide when to fire, not Amazon HR. No notice period, nothing. This is unorganized work. Yes. And what a paradox. Sometimes they have a contract also because they are coming from vendor. But it is vendor system. These are the worst hit employees. This is worse than even, I will say, informal sector. So do you think the labor codes will help them? Sorry. It cannot help them. Why? Because contract work is the work that never gets any support from anyone, not even the MNC, not even the government. They are the worst victims of LPG, globalization, privatization, liberalization. And now in India, you have 80% workers in the informal sector. So how will you use these labor codes to support them? Yes. Now, by passing the labor codes, government understands, government feels, we will encourage white collar job. How will you encourage white collar job? Now, do you know how are these labor codes implemented? How are these labor codes implemented? Where will you go and implement them? To implement them, you need to have a factory or a company. How will you define a factory or a company, bachche? How will you define a factory or a company? How will you define? Very good, Zenith. The threshold criteria. What is a factory? Earlier, under the 29 labor codes, a factory used to be something with 10 employees. Okay. If there is a group of 10 employees who are doing some activity, economic activity, then that can be called a factory or a company, and labor laws should be implemented here. But now things have changed. You have to have at least 20 or more workers who are doing manufacturing process without or with any kind of power electricity connection. Yes. So either 20 workers with power utilization, electricity, or with 40 workers without power, without electricity. Now the threshold has increased from 10 to 20 and then 40. Yes. Now that the factory definition is increased in order to implement Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, the definition of a factory depends on the number of workers who are working there, either 20 or 40. So what does that mean? Where are we trying to help these people? What if a manufacturer is hiring only 15 people? What if a manufacturer is hiring only 10 people? They are not even covered under the labor laws. Then how do you think we are helping the laborers here? Is it not creating the worst kind of exploitation? If establishment is not able to reach the basic threshold of 20 employees and 40 employees, they will not even be treated as a legal factory. Then what obligation do they have to follow any kind of safety, health or working condition regulation under the new labor code? Is that not a loophole, Shlok, Yuvraj? It is, right? It is. And why does this matter? It matters because before the four labor codes, the 29 labor laws had Factory Act 1948. Under Factory Act 1948, the rule was different. 10 people were considered a factory with power. 20 people were considered a factory without power. But today things have changed. Threshold is doubled. That's what Zenith was saying. Threshold is doubled. Now many small units are not even classified as a factory. They are not even a company. So why will they be under any obligation to follow these four labor codes? Nothing. So now more informal sector will increase. That the government doesn't understand. Another problem. Earlier, if a company owner wants to lay off a worker, fire a worker, or close the company, then he should have at least establishment of about 4 to 500 people. But today that has changed. Now, if the owner of a factory or a company has to close the factory, or they have to fire, or they have to do any retrenchment or any permanent shutdown, then they will have to have at least 300 or more workers. Earlier, the threshold was variable. Sometimes 400, sometimes only 100. Now it has become 300 fix. So then what happens? Many small companies will no longer fall under the labor protection at all. Nothing will happen now. Small companies can easily escape tax, easily escape following the labor codes. No protocols on them. And what about fixed term employment? These four labor codes came to promise us fixed term employment. Yes, but what is happening today? Workers are hired through vendor system, short term contract. They may receive some benefits, they may not receive other benefits. There is still no long term job security. Earlier, what was happening? Before the labor codes, formal occupation meant permanent job, stable wage, social security. But now what has happened? When the threshold itself is 20, 40, that means so many more factories will function. And so many more factories will also change the interpretation of labor laws. And what will the labor inspectors do? They can't do anything. They can't even say anything to them because they are saying, I'm only having 15 employees. I have 12 employees. I have 10 employees. So what can you do? Yes, absolutely, Shlok. In the new bill now, very good, Shlok, actually, very good point. The reason why trade unions are so angry about these four labor laws is because now even if you want to go for a strike, even if you want to do some kind of trade unionism, dharna, you will have to take prior notification. You have to inform your employer. So what kind of rights are laborers actually getting? They are not getting any right. And in case they break down a protocol, they will pay the fine. They will pay some kind of fine. And fine is easy to pay. There is no strict punishment. So what is the core problem again? The core problem is between formal and informal. This article is therefore saying that informal sector will continue because it is cheaper for companies to maintain. Today, if I want to produce and start a business, It is easy for me to hire informal labor through vendor system or unorganized labor. It's very tough to maintain a formal white collar staff because they are demanding. They will demand more wage. They will demand social security. For me, it is much more profitable to hire people with lower wage, people who are ready to work at flexible time, people who have no social security, and people who are ready to do platform and GIG work. Then why will I ever bother about implementing the four labor laws? So companies will only prefer informal sector and contract work even after these labor laws have come. So accordingly, what we can say is that the labor codes may improve the data. On paper, it looks like yes, formal sector is growing, but actually nothing will be done to improve the laborers' condition. Plus, there is an argument coming from trade unions also. Earlier, people used to easily start a strike or some band or a dharna in case their rights were not met. But today, the government has chosen the labor laws, and under labor laws, they will give direct benefit transfer to the account of so many employees in the name of welfare. That means they will be discouraged to form labor. They will be discouraged to form trade union. The bargaining power of labor is also suffering. So, this entire reform movement may make employment more flexible, but definitely not secure. Security is a very evasive thing even under these four labor laws, because until there is implementation across all factories, whether small, whether big, nothing is going to change. Now, a very simple solution a very simple trick I can share with you. Example, there is a factory owner. He has more than 40 employees. Now, he knows he will have to implement the labor code. But rather than having two factories, he'd rather have three factories with 15 employees each, or four factories with 10 employees each. It's much easy for him to escape labor laws and keep hiring. Easy to fire, easy to hire, contract labor. Why will he go for the botheration of taking a license, opening a factory, and then implementing labor laws? He will not do that. And absolutely, Vikash, ultimately it does relate to Article 23 of the Constitution. Forced labor, beggary is prohibited. Article 24, child labor is prohibited. Article 21, there is a right to life. Then there are DPSP, Article 41, right to find work is a fundamental right. Article 42, maternity benefits, equal safe working conditions, Article 48, all these are now getting ignored in the process. So quickly, a practice question. Very good, Yuvraj. Beautifully given case study. Beautifully given case study. And we should have these examples in mind. Absolutely. Lack of majority power, DPSP, part 4. Very good. Now consider the following statements regarding India's labor codes. 1. The Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code increases the threshold for defining a factory to 20 workers with power and 40 without power. Second, under the new labor code, prior government approval for layoff, retrenchment, and closure is needed only for establishment employing 300 plus workers. And 3, the Code on Wages provides a statutory legal framework for national floor wage to be determined by the central government. Initiated from Vikash Lok Terkula, Sita Ram, Saurav, Anoop, Jonah, Reshma. There is a split. The ladies in my class are saying a different answer than the gentlemen. C or D. Chip, Satya, Krishna, Reshma, Madhav. There is a major split. Why? Repeatedly am I getting opportunities to be happy and then getting myself labeled as sarcastic person, sadistic person, but it's not in my hands. There is a major split. Kojumba, Ramu, Saumya, Abhijit, Sharlok, Santosh, Kundan. What happened in this one, bacha? See, this is what. The reason is that I thought it's an easy question. So definitely you will do this. If I would have thought it's a tough question, then right now majority would have given the right answer in 1 minute. It is not an exception. It's a rule that I'm seeing now. It's a rule. It's happening in every class. I thought it's easy, so see what is happening. If I thought it's tough, then everybody would have done it smoothly. I don't know, but this is a rule that has become now. Yes. Okay then, Usha, Yuvraj, Munna, what to do? Let's break it down. Is the first statement correct? Yes, Yuvraj, what to do? Situations. Occupational safety, health, and working condition. Is it increasing the threshold of defining a factory? Yes. Yes. I just said that. Earlier, it was not like that. It was very low. Today, we are saying that if you are formally defining a factory, it should be 20 people with power of 40 without. Only then labor laws can be implemented. And that's why anybody can walk off by making a small factory of 10 employees and escape the labor laws. So, first is correct. First is correct, then B definitely is not right. What about second? Under the new labor codes, if there is a company or a small setup, that in that the employer wants to do any kind of mass layoff, or they want to shut down the operation permanently, they want to do some retrenchment, then will they be needed to take government's permission? Yes, but that's only for those which have an employee strength of 300 or more. Earlier I told you it was variable, it used to be 100 also earlier, but now it is mandatory. If it's 300, you must take approval. So second is correct. Second is correct, C is not right. Now between A and D, what about third one? The code on wages. What is the code on wages? It's a fundamental part of these new 4 labor laws. Yes, it is, right? Now what does it say? It says that you can't give arbitrary wages to your employees. There is a standard definition of floor wage. What is floor wage? The minimum standard acceptable wage that the government will decide that you have to give to every employee. Even if they are working in the informal sector, you can't deprive them of their employee. So therefore, it's correct only. If it's correct, then D should be the right answer. Then D should be the right answer. Yes, absolutely. I am obsessed with the Supreme Court case, as Satya says, Justice Nagaratna versus Justice Vishwanathan. It has left a very deep impact in my psychology. I'm becoming permanent Lokpal now. What to do? So well tried, but answer should be D. Okay. Let's proceed with quickly the next article. You might enjoy this article because now we are going to talk about the big problem in India when it comes to women empowerment, and therefore this is GS paper 2, social empowerment, social justice. Now let's remember, bache, let's remember that there are two different things. And these things are that numerical representation, and if you write this one sentence in GS paper 2, you will get very good marks. If in a 20 marks, if in a 15 marks answer, where you have to write 350 words, by the way, I hope everybody knows, no? 10 marks question, 150 words approximately, 15 marks question, approximately 250 words, right, in the mains. Now, if you get a 15 marks question on the power of representation, is there any benefit of 106th Amendment Act? And if you write this one sentence, that the problem of implementation is that numerical representation does not lead to substantive equality. It does not lead to substantive representation. You see how many marks you get. If you get less than 10, then you change my name. Must write it. You must write it. Yeah, my concerned expression. Yes, you must write it. Because numerical representation doesn't lead to substantive equality. If somebody asks you why, because there is a problem of intersectionality. Women are not a homogeneous group, we know that, right? And why is everybody erupting in such a big laughter? Okay, suppress your laughter. Time for a serious discussion here. What is happening in this article? Okay, listen carefully. This article is trying to say that in India, we believe in the concept of socialistic democracy. Now, why? Why do we believe in that? We believe in that because ever since the Indian National Congress, even before India became an independent country, long back in 1944, had decided the Bombay Plan. Bombay Plan. We committed ourselves to socialistic democracy. We are not only a democracy, we are a socialistic democracy. We believe in distributive justice, yes? Now, with that in mind, we must make sure that vulnerable communities do get some representation at political, economic, and social domains. Correct? What about political domain? If you talk about vulnerable communities, definitely you are talking about women. Now, if somebody asks you tomorrow, are women in India minority? Now, that's a very absurd thing to presume. They may or they may not be, but we can't call them minority, because minority means, bacha, constitutional minority. Minority is only constitutional minority. So, in my class, everybody should remember minority in India for constitutional statutory purposes are only two. What are these two? Linguistic minorities and religious minorities. Yes. And which articles of the Constitution will you have to visit to find the protocols on them? 25 to 30. Yes. Having said that, what about women? Who are they? They are a vulnerable component of society. So, therefore, are they sufficiently represented in the political system? They are not. In India, women are not represented in the polity at all. Their representation in politics and decision making is very, very, very low. Lower than the global average, lower than the Asian average. What a paradox! Nowadays, in the last few years, whenever there is an election could be in Bihar, election could be in West Bengal, election could be in Tamil Nadu, election could be in Uttarakhand, we are seeing one thing, that more women voters are coming out to vote as compared to male voters. Many women voters are voting. In Bihar, when there was Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana, the number of women voters became 5 times more. Now in Assam, we are having Urundoi. Maybe many more women voters will come. Same thing is happening everywhere, but what a paradox. Women are voting as much as men are, more than men are, but when it comes to their representation in parliament, state legislative assembly, Rajya Sabha, or in bicameral states, the legislative council, in municipalities or in panchayat, they are not there. They are not there. They are not there. Then what is happening? In India, electoral participation has not meant political participation. This is the core beautiful summarization of this article. In India, electoral participation has not led to political involvement of our women. There is no active participation, Satya. Absolutely. Is there an improvement after independence? Well, yes. After independence, women used to vote much less as compared to men. If you look at after independence data, then in the 1967 Lok Sabha election, now this is very interesting. You can see the data here. In the 1967 Lok Sabha election, I'm writing it LS election, in the 1916, men were 66.7%. 66% men voted. And what about women? What about women? In the 1967 Lok Sabha election, only about 55.5% of women were voting. Look at the dichotomy. Why? Low literacy among women. Social restrictions. Women were not allowed to go out in public and vote, make their choice. They were not empowered. Limited public political awareness. Women were restricted to domestic sphere. Since they did not have much formal education, they were not engaged in politics. Domestic responsibilities, women, because of patriarchy, because of too much beliefs in, cultural, social, religious restrictions, women were not even allowed to participate. So therefore, only 55% women voted in 1967 election. But today, if you look at the recent data, you will be quite happy and amazed to realize that if you look at the election of 2019 and 2024 Lok Sabha, not only the number of women who were voting was equal to men, in most of the state assembly elections like Bihar, the number of women who were voting were more than men. What a change. More women are voting as compared to men. What does it show? Strong political participation by women voters, but as Satya says, this is only political participation. You are doing your fundamental duty by giving your vote. You are utilizing Article 326, Universal Adult Franchise, but you are still not participating in the politics of your country. Why? The data here is shocking everyone. It will shock you. Even though women are voting in large numbers, they are participating very less in activities like political party campaigning, door-to-door canvassing, attending rallies and dharnas. Political meetings are not having women. Why? Because till date there is underlying patriarchy and there is a lack of safety. India is a country with a very high rate of femicide, violence against women, VAW, passive and direct. Therefore, many families do not prefer permitting the women of the family to go out in campaigning, in rallying, and in attending political meetings. And political participation starts from a very low level. Suddenly, you can't become the member of parliament in Lok Sabha until you are a celebrity or until you have a social credibility. You can't. For a newcomer, it starts with grassroots work. It demands you to go and attend rally, to talk to people, make a PR, do campaigning and discuss problems with people. But how many women will actually go out of the house and do that? There are very restrictive social norms in India who still do not allow many women to do that. So therefore, if women do not have time to participate in formal sector jobs, do you think they will have the time to go and participate in political campaigning? And then there is a lack of safety as well. So women are active voters, but they are not visible in political activities. What about the data? Please have a look at the screen. 1952, only 22 women ministers of parliament. 2019, the highest in history, 78 women members of parliament. 2024, 74. 74 ministers of parliament, that is only about 14% of Lok Sabha. And we talk about women empowerment. And we talk about Article 14. We talk about Article 15, Clause 4, Clause 5. We talk about Article 41. And we talk about Article 42. And we say that gender empowerment is something we are committing ourselves to. But 14% of women as ministers in the recent Lok Sabha. What about that? Now, political parties also do not give many times ticket to women. They don't want to give ticket to women because they know that women will not be able to do canvassing. They probably will not be able to propagate the party's agenda. And that is the result that only 14% women are in politics. They have a limited candidature. And even though the number of women candidates is increasing considerably, in 2014, 668 to 2024, 800, but still, men are in thousands and women are in hundreds. Political parties also, therefore, are not interested in giving such opportunities to women. Now, there is another paradox here. One paradox is very clear that women are voting too much, but they are not in parliament. There is second paradox. What is that? If you look at the success rate, the performance output of women versus men, then in 2019 Lok Sabha, there is one thing that stands out clearly. The success rate of women candidates is 11%, while the success rate of men candidates is barely 6%. That means if given an opportunity, women ministers can perform very well and they can win elections if they are given the tickets. In 2019 election, those who got ticket, out of them, women outnumbered the men. They outperformed men. But structural and patriarchal barriers continue to exist. Women are facing regressive social norms. They have too much household responsibility. Even till date, majority of urban and rural women are required to fulfill their domestic duties. There is a very gendered division of labor within families in India. On paper, we say families are now becoming very, very liberalized. Yes, families are now becoming very open social institutions. They are becoming philocentric. What is philocentric? This is a word we can write in Indian society and social justice. Women are becoming families are becoming philocentric. What is that? They are more open to participation by women and young children. But still, in reality, if you look at the situation of Indian parliament, you will realize that there are very less women in terms of numerical representation. Yes? Why? At the same time, because women have financial barriers also. Women have a lack of political experience and contacts. When they are not allowed to talk to people, when they aren't allowed to step out of their domestic domain, how will they have contacts and public relations? Therefore, parties also prefer male candidates, and trust me, it's in every industry. It's not just there in politics. So, therefore, many women feel that politics is easy for men. Let them do it. Politics is easy for political families, and that leads to dynasty based politics in India. People feel politics is not the place for educated people to waste their time in, and hence it becomes a feudal land of semi educated people. Only people who are coming from political families and only men exclusively. It never sees participation from young, ambitious, and aspiring women. And what's the solution to this problem? Well, recently we have passed the 106th Amendment Act, and what will it do? It will provide 33%, that's one third reservation, to women in Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies. Yes, but this will definitely create numerical representation. More number of women in parliament. At the same time, you also know that this may not lead to substantive equality in the ground. Why? One thing is true, that women, even if they get selected to the parliament, they will get busy in taking care of other priorities. They will not focus on exact problems of women because of intersectionality. And second, once in parliament, women then also become, it becomes a justification that more the women, the more empowerment. But that's not true. Having more seats for ladies in parliament doesn't mean the women centric issues can get sorted on the ground. That's not going to happen. Never. Okay. So that's why these are very bandage solutions. The real solutions is handling patriarchal mindset. The real solution is promoting STEM education, late marriage, okay, pregnancy by choice, nutrition, handling time poverty, by sharing domestic division of labor. That comes from patriarchy. Better socialization from childhood, which is ungendered, which is gender neutral. At the same time, if you really want to give reservation, provide that in STEM education. Provide that at Gram Sabha. And make sure, recently, yesterday, I was reading a magazine. So many articles are coming in magazines like Frontline, Outlook, EPW. They all talk about Sarpanch Pati. In Gram Sabha also, in some states, we are giving 50% reservation to ladies. But they become puppet leaders. The real power is in the hand of their husband or brother. Sarpanch Pati. Again, that's a social evil. So what's the point of having a power when you can't exercise that? So very good Shlok. The real word to use here should be one that Shlok is suggesting. Sensitization is very important. Make people aware. Make them understand the gravity of the problem. Otherwise, everything is always a puppet solution. There's no reality. Let's see what was Yuvraj saying. Absolutely. Fatima Bibi was the first judge of Supreme Court. Now Justice Nagaratna will become the first Chief Justice of Supreme Court after 77 years of Indian independence. What to say? Absolutely. That is very good, Eric. Correct. It is a symbolic segregation of men and women. These systems like ghungat or parda as you call it, veiling, long back during 18th century, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was advocating for women rights, and he said this is known as symbolic segregation. It is much more than a physical barrier on women. Okay? All right. What was your point there? I scrolled everything. I couldn't find what Yuvraj was mentioning. No problem. Okay. Answers are rolling in. What's the question? Yes, could you please repeat it once, Yuvraj? I tried to scroll a bache, I couldn't find it. Consider the following statement regarding women's participation in electoral politics. 1. In recent Lok Sabha election, women voter turnout has nearly reached equal to men. Second, in state assembly elections after 2011, women average voter turnout has in several instances surpassed that of men. 3. The success rate of women candidature in recent Lok Sabha election has been consistently lower than that of male candidates. Which of these statements are valid? Is there a uniformity? Is there no split? There is a minor split. Initiated from Reshma, Sitaram, Kojumba, Terukula, Vikash, Shlok, Chip, Sharlok, Yuvraj, Veda. Kojumba is confident. Ramu, Eric, Sumed. I'm sorry for the lag, Shlok. I don't know why is it happening, but I'm using a LAN. Despite that, the lag, time for me to sue some corporates. All right. Kundan, Urupam, Pratik. So that means there is no split. No, there is a minor split. Krishna, Pothu, Kavish. Let's break it down. One is correct, totally correct. It's equal to that of men. Yes, Saumya? Now, as many men are voting as women. Second is correct, totally correct. Look at Bihar Assembly election. Definitely. Women voter turnout has been more than men in many cases. 1 and 2 are valid. If 1 and 2 are valid, then definitely A cannot be right, C cannot be right. What about B and D? The success rate of women candidate in recent Lok Sabha election has been consistently lower than that of male. Absolutely no. What did I just tell you, bache? I clearly told you from the article that if women are given opportunity, then they will perform very well. It's about giving them the chance. Very few political parties give tickets to ladies, but in 2019 Lok Sabha election, one fact has come out. The success rate of women candidates is 11%. Male candidate is only 6%. So male is 6%, ladies is 11%. So therefore this is wrong. If this is wrong, then B is the right answer. So well performed everyone. That's okay, Shlok. Thank you. Well performed everyone. Very good, Bhavna and Veda for statistics. So that's the answer here. Okay. Now quickly the fourth article, one of the last articles for the day. I have an exciting quiz to play today, but I want to close the segment by 11:10 because now prelims are coming, and if all the time we are only studying current affairs, then there's no time for your static portion. So I'm trying to cut down the time, but let's see, it's tough, but we are trying. Quickly, next article. Supreme Court will study what constitutes personal data in the DPDP law. Yes, please, Yuvraj, let me know, bache. It's your platform, feel free. Quickly tell me, what is it? No geopolitics? No. How is it possible? I come and geopolitics doesn't come. My image has become, even if I go in the neighborhood, nobody says hi, hello. They are saying, how long will the war continue? I said, am I a PR of Iranian government or US government? Is LPG scarcity really true? Okay, will Iran surrender? This is what people are asking me. They are not even asking, how are you? Long time no see, nothing. Even neighbors and friends are like, will the war end? Like, excuse me, I'm just a teacher. Please spare me. Okay, so we will talk about geopolitics. My life is incomplete without that. Okay, quickly the next article. Let's focus, bache. What's happening? Now, the Honorable, and very good, Vikash, for clarifying. Of course, and Terukula, Kritik, we are talking about that only. Very good, very, very good. What's happening? Now, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has recently said that there is an ongoing controversy, there is an ongoing conflict going on between the DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Okay, and now the court is examining, what do you mean by personal data actually? What is personal data? Today we are saying that under the DPDP Act 2023, Digital Personal Data Protection Act, if a secret information about a government body, about a politician, about an individual, if it is too private, then it should not be shared. Under Right to Information Act 2005, very good, Vikash, we will not share it. But the Honorable Supreme Court is asking, what do you even mean by personal data? How do you classify personal data? This issue came out in public after the implementation of DPDP Act 2023. Yes. Why was the case filed? Because in India right now, bache, journalists and legal groups are arguing that the new Data Protection Law, DPDP Act, will block access to information which is required for media reporting, which is required. And public has a right to know about that information, and they are concerned that the new DPDP Act is trying to overboard in a very high manner, in a very deep manner. It is trying to protect personal data and information of the people who are accused. But it does not clearly define what is personal and what is public information. And because of that, it is very easy for the government and authorities to deny request for information and say, no, we are not giving public the knowledge about this secret case. It is a private case. This information is personal. Is this not kind of violation under Right to Information Act 2005? It is. So what's the main concern here? Now the petitioners are telling the Honorable Court that the term public interest has been removed from certain provisions of DPDP Act and RTI Act. The journalists are now unable, the media people are unable to have access to important data about public officers, and the law may therefore allow the government or corporate companies to hide information using privacy rules. So what's the main controversy? Just like my students are saying, Terukula, Vikash have already told us. Shlok has already told us. Kritik is already telling us. The main conflict is between DPDP Act 2023 versus right to information. RTI 2005. Why? Now listen carefully. There is a provision under RTI. What is RTI? Right to information. It all started through a public campaign in Rajasthan. And in 2005, finally, we have the Right to Information Act, under which we believe that if there is something that Parliament can know, then public can also know. In India, citizens are the custodians of constitution and they have every right to know what is going on in any legal controversy. They should be shared with all the viable information which public has a right to be informed about. So therefore, under RTI, very good Veda, there is a section called Section 81J. Okay? Section 81J. What is it about? Very good, Ramu. Section 81J of RTI deals with exemption. Under RTI, all the information should be given to public, correct? But there is an exception. There is an exception called Section 81J of RTI. Here what happens, in case there is an information that is not related to public activity, that is not related to public interest, or the information is so sensitive that if you disclose it, if you open it up, it will create an unwanted invasion of someone's privacy. Then you can hide that information, but this is an exception only under RTI. Everything will be told to public, but only those things that can be coming under 81J will be an exemption. Now, these will not be disclosed even under RTI because they have no relation to public, and opening them up could mean causing sensitivity. Opening it up could mean causing sensitivity. So therefore, we are not going to disclose this information. Correct? Correct? Now, this important exemption has caused a lot of issue among public because even if the information is personal, now look at another controversy here. Look at this. Look at this. Although there is an exemption 81J, there is another exception here. Although some information can be hidden under 81J, but even if that information is about larger public interest, then you will have to disclose that also. You will have to disclose that also. You see, even exception is not valid. Still, if there is a valid thing that public should know, it's about public interest, you have to disclose that. This is RTI. But now what is happening, ever since the DPDP came, the Digital Personal Data Protection 2023 came, things have changed. Why? Because the DPDP has again amended Section 81J of RTI. Why has it amended? Earlier, personal information could still be disclosed for larger public interest. But now what is happening? The new amendment under DPDP has strengthened privacy protection. Privacy protection has been protected further, which may make disclosing information even more hard. So under DPDP, even if it's a matter of larger public interest, you can hide information and say this is very, very public information. And now what happens if a company has done a fraud, say under GST? Then Enforcement Directorate cannot share that information. Why? Because companies will say, this is very private information. You can't share my WhatsApp data. You can't share my account information. And if this information is leaked, then companies can also sue. Companies can, face huge fines for misuse of personal data. But the problem is whatever penalty, whatever money is collected from these fines will go to Consolidated Fund of India. It will not directly go to the people who have been violated. So what does the Supreme Court do today? The Honorable Supreme Court is asking that there is no point, very good Vikash, of having this section 44.3 of DPDP Act because you cannot dilute the provisions of RTI. RTI is a beacon of democracy. When you are hiding information from public by calling it as personal, then what's the purpose of having RTI? And today the honorable court is saying the time is not to fight. The time is to create a perfect balance between these two extreme protocols. On the one hand, you have the RTI 2005. On the other hand, you have the DPDP 2023. The time is to create a perfect balance between right to privacy, Puttaswamy case, yes, Article 19(1)(a), right to privacy. Another, right to information, that is RTI 2005. So when should the data be hidden, or when should the data be publicized, presuming that the public has a right to know? And why is it such an important case? Because nowadays big amount of data are being stored by the government and the big tech companies, and the data is becoming a major economic and political source. Like what Shlok said, data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. Yes, data is the new gold. Everybody needs data. I'll just come to that 19 or 21 issue. Just wait a second. So, how can we summarize this article? One second. We can summarize this article under Supreme Court is today examining whether DPDP can restrict RTI, or whether we must go on and stop this amendment from changing and diluting the larger public interest protocol in RTI. And before I see the question, now talking about right to privacy is like right to life, right to dignity. Of course, it's 21. Why right 19(1)(a)? Because 19(1)(a) is free speech. It's free speech. Today, if these judges and these legal groups and these journalists are fighting to cancel the amendments of DPDP, what is wrong in that? A lot of people are saying that those who are fighting with the government and saying that DPDP is finishing or ending the logic of RTI are doing a wrong thing. No, they are not doing the wrong thing. It is about right to free speech and expression. They can raise this doubt. If they have a feeling that DPDP is weakening the RTI, they should express it. So Article 19(1)(a) gives them the right to make this petition. Then what about right to privacy? Puttaswamy case, Article 21. Very well said, everyone. Then what about this thing, right to information 8(1)(j)? Of course, that's the heart and soul of 8(1)(j). So ultimately, the tougher thing is to create a balance. How to create that balance? So that controversy is ongoing. Yes. Okay. Very good, Vikash. That comes in the picture. And I'm so sorry about the lag. I really don't know why is it happening. Honestly, being on LAN and having a lag is like totally, it's not my day. Okay. Quickly, the question. A quick session on geopolitics, because everyone was missing geopolitics. And sometimes I feel I'm living for geopolitics. And then the interesting quiz. Consider the following statements regarding DPDP Act 2023 and Right to Information 2005. 1. The DPDP 2023 amended provisions to RTI relating to disclosure of personal information. Second, under the original RTI, personal information can never be disclosed once it's classified as a personal data. And 3, the debate about DPDP Act arises partly because stronger privacy protection may affect access to information held by public authorities. Easy or tough, but there is a split. Undersea cable has been bombed. Now, my students are as much into geopolitics as I am. I'm facing a lag, and my students are saying maybe because Houthis have already they have damaged the Red Sea. I think both you, Bacha, and me, we all need a geopolitical detox. Let the prelims exam happen. For 3 days, we will not discuss geopolitics, okay? We will maintain abstinence from geopolitics. We are highly influenced. Okay. There is a split here. Initiated from my dear Kritik, Shlok, Vikash, AB, Yuvraj, Sharlok, Munna answers, Shinobi, Kundan, Bhavna, Yuvraj, Kavish, very good, Anup, Eric. Okay. Very good, Satya. Veda, then what's the right answer? 1 is correct, totally correct. That's the problem with DPDP. DPDP has diluted. Vikash was telling us beautifully. DPDP section 44. It has diluted section 8(1)(j) of RTI related to disclosing personal information. It's correct. What about the second one? Under the original RTI, personal information can never be disclosed. No, that's not true. I told you there is an exception. Even under 81J, you can hide information if it's not in public interest. But if the information is found to be of larger public interest, you have to disclose it, no matter what. That's the power of RTI. So wrong. Second is wrong. Third is correct. The big debate between the both is the same thing, whether we are blocking access to information or not. So then what should be the right answer? 1 and 3, B is the right answer. Very well done. Well done. Are they really bombed? Okay, maybe then, because see, yesterday the way we were speculating that now Babal Mandeb will go. If that happens, and I'm just concerned because we people are nowadays dependent more on internet as compared to even water and food. So if undersea cables get bombed, then what happens? That's a dangerous situation. Let me investigate more into it. Let's proceed with the quickly penultimate article for the day. Okay, what's happening? Be happy. Everyone, smile. We are back to your favorite topic. Geopolitics is here. India co-sponsors resolution passed by UNSC against Iran. That's a big news. GS paper 2 international relations. Yes. Okay. Okay. Starlink. Okay, I will contact Mr. Elon Musk. Let me do something. Let me improve my data connectivity. Give me just one day today. Okay. Now quickly let's focus on this article. What is this thing? Listen carefully, bache. United Nations Security Council, the P5 members. For a very long time, India has been trying to become a part of the Permanent 5 League. But that has not happened. Why? Because the Permanent 5 countries maintain their veto power. And it is visible every time there is a global important debate that's going on. Now let's quickly see what's going on. Yesterday, a big thing has happened. India has taken a very diplomatic position on the ongoing war in West Asia. So quickly go to the map and leave the question to me. Okay. Please travel to the map and focus, bache, everyone. On the map, you can see Saudi Arabia. You can see Yemen, Oman. Yes, you can see the main country in war, Iran. And of course, yesterday we have had a big debate about UAE. There is a Strait of Hormuz that is closed right now, causing all the oil and energy insecurity. So what's happening, bache? Article is saying that India has taken a diplomatic position in the war right now, which involves actively US plus Israel versus Iran. Because India is trying to manage its geopolitical interests. So what has India done? There is a resolution that is going on in United Nations Security Council, and India has also supported, co-sponsored that resolution along with many other countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council. Why? Because Iran has been retaliating against America by hitting missiles at all the military and air bases of West Asia. So that's why India is supporting the GCC countries, the Gulf Council countries, and passing a resolution against Iran. Why? They are angry about the closure of Strait of Hormuz, the narrow strategic choke point from where 30% of oil and gas passes. Yes, located in Persian Gulf connecting with the Gulf of Oman. What are these Gulf countries? Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi, UAE. And why is India supporting the resolution? Because India is getting impacted. 50% of India's crude oil comes from Strait of Hormuz. 90% of LPG imports. We have limited reserve. Only two underground facilities are there, Vishakhapatnam and Mangaluru. Now UAE and Qatar and Bahrain, all of them have shut their LPG, LNG facilities. So therefore, India will suffer energy insecurity. Yes. So now, India has supported this resolution against all these countries, because for India, Gulf stability is important. Now, it's not just about LPG crude. It's about diaspora. Indian diaspora is who is in the US, and therefore, India has criticized both US active attack on Iran also, including the Kharg Island, including the Qeshm Island, as well as Iran's ongoing attack on other West Asian countries. Also, India condemns the death of Mr. Ali Khamenei. So, India is trying to take a very balanced position right now. Very, very balanced. Okay. So, that's what the pitch of this article was. And now, as I said, I'll finish on 11:15. I'm already late than my agenda. Let me quickly wind it up in 5 minutes. Last article, again, geopolitics. So, where should we go? You will have to go to the map. Now, in the map that you are seeing is Oman. What are you seeing? Oman. Left hand side is Yemen. top is Saudi, this is UAE. All of you bache are seeing Oman right now. What has happened right now? Mr. Trump says that the goal of his government is to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons, plus also change the regime in Iran. And because of that, Iran is under constant military attacks. And Iran is retaliating as well with missiles, cheap drones. And what kind of advanced missiles has Iran used? I have written them here. Khorramshahr missile, Khebar missile, Fatah hypersonic missile. All these are being used by Iran because Iran believes in asymmetric warfare saturation strategy. Iran will use cheap ballistic missiles and cheap drones and overwhelm the missile interceptors of US like Patriot and THAAD. And ultimately, they will have to give up at one point. And all these missiles are being used by Iran to target military bases in the West Asian area. And therefore, Hormuz, we all know, is closed. The worst is that commercial ships are also getting attacked and being closed in the Hormuz area now. The global oil prices are shooting up. And yesterday, another unfortunate thing happened. Oman is a mediator country. Oman never involves in any war. But unfortunately, one thing happened yesterday. There were drones and missiles who have attacked the port of Salalah. I repeat, the port of Salalah. Can you all see the port of Salalah, bache? Please have a look here. I have circled it. Please have a look at southern western Oman, port of Salalah. Port of Salalah. Port of Salalah has been attacked. What is Port of Salalah? Bacha, Port of Salalah is the largest port in Oman. Largest port in Oman. Yes, the same area where you have the Dukum port. It's right here, which India has access to. INS Kondinya. The port of Sohar. The port of Edom. All these are important, but the biggest port is Salalah. It is being hit. It's the largest port and it has been operational since 1998. And today this shows that the war will also eat up the countries who are mediators, not active warriors. And Israeli defense forces are saying we will continue to attack Iran and all its oil infrastructure. We are not going to stop here because the war seems to have now assumed ugly proportions. Yes, that's it. That's it from my side. Now, in the last 2 minutes, I would want to take a quick quiz with you. So quickly answer my questions and I want to stop at 11:20. Yes, I'm trying to reduce the work time, but what to do? I start enjoying the discussion so much, time flies by. Okay. Dukum port is there, bache. Why is Dukum port in news, Shlok? Because INS Kondinya went to Dukum. Dukum has the Indian Navy has the permission to use the facilities at Dukum port. But Salalah is the biggest. Yes. Okay. That's true. All right. Now listen carefully, bacha, and quickly answer my question. Today I'm going to make a very interesting current affairs video. Today geopolitics was only 1 minute. Yes, no problem. Tomorrow we can make it half an hour. Don't worry. Tomorrow we will make it half an hour. Okay, now listen carefully. Listen. Which is the largest uninhabited island in the world? Can anybody tell me? Lake Aini? Like Aini? Aini is what? Where was Aini? India has already abandoned Aini in Tajikistan. Okay. Now listen carefully. Which is the largest uninhabited island in the world? Largest uninhabited island in the world. Yes, where is it? Quickly. Largest uninhabited island in the world. Very good. Largest uninhabited island is Devon Island. Today I'm making a detailed video on that. Devon Island. Where is it located? Now this island is located in Canada. It is located in Canada. The largest island in Canada. Remember that. In the Arctic Circle. Second, which is Iran's only deep port? Which is Iran's only deep sea port with direct access to Indian Ocean? Which is Iran's only deep port with direct access to Indian Ocean, often known for its strategic importance? Quickly. No problem. Today I will talk about Devon Island. Which is Iran's only deep port, deep sea port with direct access to Indian Ocean? Quickly. We all know about it. Very good, Reshma Terukula, Chabahar Port. Excellent, Chabahar Port. Now, the last question for the day. Which is the longest tributary of river Mahanadi, and it arises in the state of Chhattisgarh? The longest tributary of Mahanadi river arising in the state of Chhattisgarh. Which is that river quickly? Starting from the letter S. Largest tributary of Mahanadi, starting in the state of Chhattisgarh. What's the name of this river? Very good. India has invested in Chabahar, a part of INSTC. Very good. And BRI. Good. Yes, last question. Which is that river? Subarnadekha is the gold river. Damodar? Sionath. Very good. Sionath, bacha. I want you to remember Sionath, not Subarnarekha. Subarnarekha is a different river altogether. It's a different river altogether. It's known as the river of gold in India. Subarnarekha. We are talking about Mahanadi, Odisha. Sionath. Okay? All right. Now, please allow me to take your leave. And I have to make few videos today for you. I will make that interesting video and share with you soon on the channel. Stay blessed. Today, one interesting question on Telegram also. Thank you for this lovely session. All of you, lots of blessings and love from my side. Catch you tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. with more geopolitics, more map, and perhaps more new quiz questions for tomorrow. So God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow. I was talking about the longest tributary of Mahanadi coming from Chhattisgarh, and it